Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Barry Kostrinsky, president of the ATOA, the Artist Talk on Art. This is our 45th Monday virtual open studio talk. They're more like talks in general. I want to say this is our response to COVID. Since 1975, the ATOA, a 501c3, has been the longest running dialogue on the visual arts in New York City. We've always been on the Lower West Side. 12 West 12th Street is where we will go back to when things are more normal. On the other hand, we will continue this even when we go back. So we will run dual programming. And part of the reason is this has become very easy for people around the globe to come to. We've had presenters from Scotland, speakers from Australia, from Southeast Nebraska, Hawaii, California, and of course, many from New York and Brooklyn. ATOANYC.org is our website. These talks are all on our YouTube channel. The link is on the website, but it is Artist Talk on Art. And for every presentation that goes up, I write about a 4,000 word summary of what the talk is about as well. We are a nonprofit. These talks are free. We ask for contributions. We can accept it anyway. Euros, dollars, you use a pigeon carrier and you send it to my window, I open it. Now, you'll see it on the website if anybody wants to contribute. And thank you to all those, the many artists who have contributed. Today, we have Brainard Carey. We have a very focused presentation. Brainard will go into the ins and outs of how artists can use Instagram and how you can make sales and how you can approach it. He's written several books on it. I do want to say we have a calendar on our website. You can see our talks that are coming. There are many talks coming. I won't run through them. I will just say the beginning of every month is a performance talk that is curated by Veronica Pena. She was a presenter at one talk, and now she's an organizer of monthly talks. If anybody ever wants to present or talk, reach out to me. My email is on our website. There is a chat function here that you can see. I'm not going to mute anybody, but if I hear background noise, I will sort of hunt around and mute you. I ask you to mute yourself if you don't want to be heard. Our format here is unique. We encourage you to jump in and ask questions. We'd like to get the dialogue going. It not only keeps you engaged, but it's a way to sort of get the speaker involved as well. And the speaker then often it becomes enlightening because the speaker takes a channel he may not have known to take, and it really opens up and deepens the dialogue. So I want to thank everybody for coming. We have created a community. I often refer to it as a hive, and we're a tribe. And it's nice to see us all together. It's every Monday. If you enjoy, spread the word. Again, reach out with any questions. Use the chat function as you like. You can throw your emails in if you want to be on our email list and you are not. And I'll just say thank you to Brainard for taking the time to come and to speak. Sorry for the brief intro. I'll let you introduce. You know yourself better than I do. I will say I know Brainard through knowing people I don't know in the art world. And I had a friend reach out and say, hey, Barry, you should reach out to Brainard Carey. That's Lauren Ellis. Art for Healing in the meatpacking district. I'm sorry, Hell's Kitchen. And I reached out to him and he said, sure. And so I'm happy to have you. Thank you for your time. And Brainard, I'll hand it over to you. Welcome.
Thanks so much. Thanks everybody. And yeah, hi Mitch. Thanks everybody for being here. I know several of you, but I'm so happy to be here and appreciate Barry's sense of humor and also just this group. I know you guys have been around for a while. So okay. The question was what to present today. So I'll say a little bit about myself in this presentation, but it could have been several subjects. I've worked with my wife as a collaborative. We've had some major shows like the Whitney Biennial and a solo show at the Whitney, and these shows were created because I asked for them. And so I've written about that. I've written about a lot of things, and because I think there's a lot of paths for artists, right? Before this, we were talking about in the pre-talk, like who's making money or not making money or living as an artist. Well, through Yale University Radio, I've interviewed now about 1,600 artists and curators. It's a lot of people, right? I do like 4 or 5 a week, and I often ask people, like, how are you funding your practice? How are you maintaining your practice? And for the majority of artists, there is a side gig of some kind. They're a teacher, or they have some kind of an income. And so, there's different models for how you want to be a professional, and it doesn't take anything. If you're selling or not selling, it doesn't necessarily mean that you won't, achieve a certain kind of level of recognition in the art world. But of course, most people want to sell more work. That is how, you get into being part of the conversation, so to speak. So, okay, today, I'm going to talk about marketing in a very specific way, because I have a new book coming out, and you guys are going to get a free book who are here to the end. I'm going to give you my book on selling online, but I have a book coming out that is a remake of the book that a second edition of the book called Making It in the Art World. And part of what my thinking was in that book is, what's happening in professional development. There's a number of people like me out there, right, who are in some ways teaching, quote unquote, professional development. I mean, I even go to the performance artist things of unprofessional development and critiques of professional development. But what I'm saying is, I read all the books, I take all the classes, I go to websites of basically anybody that's in this field of professional development. I like to see what people are doing out there, and is there any new information? Because I've written 6 books myself, but everyone else has written other books, and I keep writing more books. And what's the information that people want to know? And it seems to be that a common ground between all of these books, between the websites and other coaches, consultants, everything is sales, right? How to make sales. So I am going to talk about that today in a very specific way, but I just want to say that this talk won't be that long, probably 20 or 30 minutes, and then we'll open it up to questions. And if you want to talk about how to get into a biennial, or how to present for a biennial, or how to, I don't know, have a practice that doesn't sell work, or anything else, we can discuss that. So, okay, let me just jump right into it then. I'm going to share my screen. You guys see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So today's talk is on mastering social media, and essentially I'm going to give a few case histories. This is what we're going to go over: how to run a campaign for recognition only. It means not sales. How to be on Instagram and other places and just get recognition, because some people don't want more than recognition. Like my good friend Rich, which I'll mention, and how to run a campaign for sales only. And the 2 case histories, well, 3 actually, is Rich, who's a good friend of mine for a long time, and then 2 other people that I don't know, Sean and Ashley. Those are their first names. And then I'm going to kind of, complete the whole campaign, the chart for sales, so you can see just how to do it. And also, if you want to hire someone to help, how to do that. So, okay, this is me. I'm Brainard Carey, artist, educator, and as I mentioned earlier, Yale University radio host. And those are some of the books I've written. I've written more. The one on the left is coming out in May, and that one really is about kind of the pandemic strategies, right? Post-pandemic strategies. As Barry was saying, like, we're on Zoom to stay. Telehealth is going to stay. We'll still see doctors and have meetings, but Zoom for studio visits and meeting curators, it's indispensable now. Okay, so like I was saying, I read every book on professional development. I take all the courses out there. I try to. I mean, I anything that I see that I haven't, I take it. And so I'm looking at what people are doing, and like I say, most of them are focused on sales. I interview a lot of people, like I was saying, for Yale University, and the reason I do this is because I want to know what people who are competing with me in this field are doing, and do they have anything new to offer. It's required research. So that's what I'm drawing from today a lot, and the experience of many members of my online school in doing just this. So the biggest platforms, just to define social media, right, is Instagram is probably the biggest for artists. Facebook, also big for artists. LinkedIn, not so much, but it's one of the big ones. Twitter, of course, is huge. YouTube, great for artists and others. And now there's Clubhouse, which is not really a social media yet. So what do you want from it? Sales or recognition? That's the first thing. You really have to think to yourself, what do I want out of Brainard's talk today? What do I want to do next? And it's either sales or recognition. Yeah, you can have, obviously, you can have recognition with that. I thought if someone does want to jump in and say anything, you can, or whatever. I thought that was someone, but that was your machine. That's okay.
I think somebody needs to be.
Yeah, I think you just got muted for saying someone needs to be muted. Okay, so what do you want from social media? Sales or recognition. So we're going to talk about how to set up a specific campaign and also my friend. But, you could do both, of course. So recognition. How to run a campaign for recognition. I'm going to talk about my friend Richard, who lives in Amsterdam, an American I went to school with, and I remember when he came to visit. He was traveling around. He's a photographer, but he's also been living always this kind of bohemian lifestyle where he's selling like minerals, because you shouldn't say rocks, right? I learned minerals that sometimes he'd wrap with wire. Sometimes he would mine crystals in upstate New York and sell them. You don't really make a lot of money, but he used to like to brag about, I had a $500 day, I had a $1,000 day. But you've been traveling for 3 weeks and not making any money. So, he had this kind of traveling lifestyle and still does that he really likes, but is an amazing photographer. One time when he came over, I said to him, I was finding out about these automated programs that get you followers. You can build up how many followers you have. And he said, you don't want those kind of followers. He said, you want followers who actually like your work. Because the rest are just a number, nobody's interacting. This is some of Rich's photography. This is all Amsterdam, right? It's pretty, beautiful work. Here's his page on Instagram, 2,238 posts, 66,000 followers. That's impressive, right? 214 following. Notice there is no link to his bio here. Everybody has a link to their bio. That's where you can do your marketing. He has none. So because he doesn't want to. That's conscious. He's working this, in an amazing way. Here's one of his images, and kind of typical of sometimes very romantic, very beautiful, but they're just really well taken. He puts a lot of hashtags in there. Hello from Amsterdam, Holland, travel, holidays, Nikon, what camera he's using, Nikon filter, all of these, Lonely Planet, right? Could Travel Guide, could pick it up. And, he tends to get, which I should have put in here, but, dozens, if not hundreds of comments on what he's doing. Here's another one from Maine when he was traveling. I mean, look at this night sky, it's gorgeous. How did you get a photo like that? Is that a filter? No, it's not a filter. He's got a long exposure going on there. He has, you see a shooting star in the middle. It's pretty amazing. Look at this windmill in Amsterdam, right? I mean, it's a pretty gorgeous image. It looks like a watercolor or something. It's like, how did he make that? It's, he's a really good photographer. So I wrote to him and I said, partly for this talk when I was preparing this, because I see, he has no bio, and he has no link, and so what's going on? He has all these followers. So I say to him, I said, do you have a page, Rich, where people can buy your work? This is the text. He writes, not exactly. I said, why not? You have a huge following and gorgeous prints. He changes the subject. Staying super busy, selling minerals and jewelry to sponsor myself. Still not sure how to market the time lapses. Obviously, a time lapse is not marketable, right? That's the latest adventure. Just got back from Brazil 2 weeks ago. That was mega. I said, why so mega? Well, I got to do a 12-day road trip with my camera, 2 good friends, bought 7 barrels of stones. Met amazing miners, carvers, and other great people. And I said, wow, what does 7 barrels look like? It sounds mind-boggling. About a ton, 965 kilos. So Rich, again, his goal is recognition, not sales. It's like dysfunctional there. He doesn't even have his link there, but maybe dysfunctional is not quite right. He chooses not to have a link there. He knows just what he's doing on Instagram. He has an incredibly active feed. So that's one way to use Instagram, right? There are others. He sells prints occasionally, but he's not set up to receive payment either. People would have to really be aggressive to get a print from him. He simply chooses it for his comfort. It's his decision. So you want to use this method for recognition and not sales? You could do that. Using hashtags the way he's using, posting almost daily the way he's doing it, builds up interaction eventually. So here's the summary for that. For recognition, post images at least 4 to 5 times a week. They should be high quality and exciting, right? His images read well on Instagram. It's just sort of like wowing. Use different hashtags. You can copy them from what other artists are using, but curators and others say use hashtags that are specific. If you're making paintings that are about currency or a specific kind of currency, you can say, hashtag, paintings, hashtag currency, hashtag Bitcoin, hashtag euros, hashtag painting of euros, something like that. But get specific. Don't think these are the hashtags that work. Do things that somehow relate to who you are. That's kind of the equivalent of a statement almost about the work. You can interview other artists if you like with Instagram Live. One curator suggested that's in these weekly roundtables that I do to build interest. So, we talk about Instagram as you're posting. Interview another artist. You guys know each other in here. You could interview each other. It builds because now, let's say Barry is talking to, Carol or something. He's interviewing her. And Carol's following sees it, Barry's following sees it, you'll both get more, more recognition.
I have a question. How does Instagram Live work?
Well, you can look it up, but essentially it's kind of like Zoom. It's and Facebook Live. It's ready to go, and it's just 2 people. That's one on top of the other. I haven't seen it done with more than 2 people. I don't know if it's possible, and you just interview them live.
It's always done on the phone, right? You have to.
Yeah, it's always done on the phone, as far as I know. You could probably do it somehow, although I don't know. I think it's always done on the phone. Yeah, it makes it kind of easy. You just pick it up and do it.
It's great.
So yeah, images should be good. Different hashtags. You could interview other artists. Just content like that brings in curators. You're interviewing other artists, famous, not so famous, in between. I mean, that's what gave me access to everything. It was quite a while ago that I wanted to meet a lot of artists. How do you get in the inner circle of people like, I don't know, Jenny Holzer and Rick Retier of Venetia and the late Christo and John Claude. And I started interviewing people. Almost everybody says yes to an interview, even people like the ones I mentioned. And I started writing for the Brooklyn Rail, who sometimes publish my interviews, sometimes not. And right away, I could interview Marina Abramovic, Rick Retier of Venetia, Christo and Jean Claude, like amazing people. A friend of mine said at the time, Brainard, what are you doing? He said, the last person that needs an interview is Rick Retier of Venetia and Christo. Why don't you interview other artists? And so I started doing that, interviewing people that nobody knows or not many. And it built a huge kind of network for me because it's not about me. It's all about them. I'm just listening to them. They have a following, they're searched. So, great thing to do to just, it's totally helped me in this pandemic. I mean, I interview about 6 people a week for Yale Radio from home. It's a social activity. It's just audio is how I do it. Okay, so the strategy for sales. Now with sales, of course, there's recognition comes, but more elements need to be in place. And this may seem simple, but these are the elements. An email program you must have, like MailChimp, Aweber, or another. And I can't emphasize this enough. Some people may say, well, I don't use one. Well, I have the cheaper version or the free version of MailChimp, or I just BCC people. You can't do that. You have to somehow figure out or get someone to help you with an email program, because it's both the legal way to send out emails and it's the most efficient way. An email program, if you don't know it like this, from what I'm saying, it's a program that allows you to send 10, 20, or hundreds or thousands of emails at once. It gives people an unsubscribe button. It's what you must have. It's one must have in this element, in this strategy. The second thing is the ability to make what's called a landing page that captures an email. This is really important too, and there's just really three things here, but these are critical. Without any one of these, you're not going to make sales, or not with this method.
I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean by a landing page that captures an email. Could you?
Okay, a landing page means, yeah, I'll go into that. A landing page is essentially one page, like a website page, and it could be part of your website, but preferably if you could do it standalone. So programs like MailChimp allow you to create landing pages, because what a landing page does is it offers someone something and they put in their email. They opt in legally. That's the only way to get someone's email legally. They're on a page that can be seen. You made a page and it says on there anything like, sign up for my newsletter. Or in this case, it's going to be sign up for a free print. But you have a page that's only designed to people to give you their email. And when they give you their
okay,
email,
you mean it captures their email? I got it. Okay.
that's right.
Got it.
But it not only captures their email, what that means by capturing it is it automatically goes to a new list in a program like MailChimp or Aweber. Sounds simple. Sometimes that doesn't happen right away. People are trying to figure out, how do I do it? I use Wix. Can I just use the email server that those guys have? Best not to. It's like you want a standalone good one. They cost about $20 a month to start. MailChimp.
So you're not saying the contact page. On my website, it says contact.
No, it's similar to what that does. On your website where it says contact, people put that in. Where does that email go?
Goes actually to the domain, the guy that runs the domain, and he sends it back to me.
Okay, so that's why that process isn't working. That's awkward. What you want it to do is, because you see what's happening, hers is going somewhere else, then it has to come back to her, and it's still not on the list, right? The way that, that's actually not even an opt-in. Someone's giving her their email. They want to be contacted. What should happen is it should automatically go to a mailing list. And that means she has her Aweber account, or I use Aweber, or she uses MailChimp. It automatically goes to a list that says, let's say, new signups or 2021 signups. It automatically goes there. So without talking to her web guy, without it being forwarded to her, I type in Brainard Carey at Gmail, Brainard, my first name, and then subscribe or whatever it says.
I'm not actually really sure that's what happens. I have Mad Mimi, so who knows?
Yeah, okay, but this is something we're all at, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Tony, because as simple as this sounds, that's what happens. You don't know exactly where your emails go.
Well, I will definitely check that.
Right, I think I have something set up. You can hire someone to help you with this, which I'll talk a little bit about in the end. So, okay, a landing page, standalone page that many pages like Aweber, MailChimp allow you to build. It's similar to the contact page, but it stands on its own and it's designed to put it on a mailing list. The third thing you need is a place where your art can be bought, right?
Excuse me, would you have an example of a landing page, how it looks by any chance?
I might have one on here, but I'll get into that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's basically a simple page that has a message on it, and it says fill in your email here. But I'll explain what that message should be.
Okay.
So the third thing is, where can your art be bought? This is like the biggest thing that's always missing. I mean, these three things must happen, but oftentimes it's not easy to buy work from an artist, even if you love that work. How do you buy it? Do you write to the artist and say, how much is that? There's a price on your website, but how do I send you the money? The reason Amazon's successful is because you can buy something, with almost like 2 clicks or something on Amazon. It's just instantly you own it. It must be like that. I'm sure you've been to websites where you're trying to buy something, even like sneakers, and you got to go here, there. Oh, now they want my credit card. Let me go get my credit card. It should be much, much simpler. So obviously,
I want to point something out. You're giving the right format for what to do. The artist Banksy, quite creative, quite a disruptor. He actually set up a shop and he set up his website, and he gave you a warning that you may not get the product. And he played on how today is set up so you can send somebody and they can do a sale and it's done. And he set up something that's a parody of that, and he gave you warnings, and he let you buy limited edition. And I just mention it because, he's doing the opposite, and he's certainly going for recognition and something else because he already has achieved a lot of sales. By the way, that's not the formula for regular artists to do. But,
No, that's interesting. Glad you mentioned that, because of course that's problematic too in some ways. I mean, he says you'll get something, but you won't get it. I mean, you could easily do a chargeback on that. I didn't get what I wanted. It doesn't, but that's of course part of his thing, a critique of consuming art as well. He has other ways his work is selling, of course. So, okay, so there's the three elements are email program, ability to make a landing page and understand what a landing page is, and I'll go into this, and a page where your art can be bought, where there's a button, click, and the money goes right to you. So one of those pages, by the way, is Etsy. And maybe that sounds crazy. Etsy is for people making jewelry. Artists sell on Etsy. And what's powerful about using a platform like Etsy is it does what's called retargeting for you. This is a very complex process if you were trying to do it yourself. That means someone goes to Etsy. They look at your original painting, right, of, two ducks in a pond. And they think, it's all right. And they go somewhere else. As they go around the web, over the next 2 or 3 days, they're going to see two ducks in a pond. Are you interested in this? Are you interested in this? Etsy's paying for that. That's very sophisticated, tracking of a customer. Etsy wants you to make that sale. For you to do that yourself, retargeting, that's a very complex and costly process. But okay, so let's move on.
What does Etsy cost? What is the fee?
You pay a percentage. You pay a percentage of the sale.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, they give you tremendous support for that. So okay, you're creating. What do you do with those three things? And this is what the page is about to address those questions. You create a timed event, such as what's called a giveaway. And this is a classic concept. This is what the website Art Storefronts is entirely built on. This is the model that basically everybody who writes about sales and professional development uses to some extent, this model. So you give away an inexpensive print. And I mean like an 8x10 print that's coming out of your printer. And it's a way to generate interest. An event encourages everyone to take an action, which is to enter the giveaway. It builds desire in your audience. So in other words, I post a link and I say, hey, everybody, I just built a new website, or I updated my website, and I'm doing a giveaway for a free print of mine. And I'm going to give it away in 7 days. Just sign up here. You give them a link. That link goes to your landing page. And on that landing page, it says, we're doing a giveaway, maybe an image of the print that you're giving away. And it's with shipping. I mean, it should be super cheap, right? Again, out of your printer, 8x10 or 9x12, nothing amazing. But what happens is people start signing up. They want a free print. And what you've done is you've created a new list of people. It could even be culled from your current list, but from Facebook, Twitter, it's turning social media followers into email addresses. This is marketing gold. That's what you want, not just their following. You want their email address so you can market to them. So what happens is they click on that link. I say on Facebook, I'm starting my new website and I'm giving away a print. Someone's going to get it in 7 days. Enter here. They click the link. It goes to a landing page. The landing page describes the giveaway. They put in their email and name, and it goes to a list. So there's two artists that have used methods like that. Sean uses the exact method I'm talking about, and Ashley Longshore uses something different. But Sean also strikes me as an artist who's taken all the courses out there. So here he is. This is his website, and this is his following. Oh no, yeah. So Sean, look, Sean versus Richard, right? Sean has 11,000 followers and he's following 9,378. So, guess how he got those followers? That's all like follow for follow, follow for follow. Very different than Rich, who has 66,000 followers and he's following 214. We know Sean got this by just being a maniac and following everybody. Not the best, not getting the best, kind of person, but, he's selling work. Here's the kind of posts he makes of his work pretty regularly. And Sean has his art for sale in places like eBay, Saatchi, as well as his own website. On Twitter, well, that's his where he sells it, and also on Facebook.
How important do you think Twitter is? I'm sorry to keep interrupting.
It's okay. If you use Twitter, it's great. Twitter's important. But again, I wouldn't force yourself to use any social media that you don't want to use. We can talk more about that too. So he posts questions regularly to engage his viewers, right? That's one obvious technique. Jerry Saltz uses it all the time. It's very kind of middle of the road, what's the one album you'd never thought of that you'd like and still listen to? I mean, that's the classic kind of marketing. Probably Jerry Saltz doesn't think of himself as that kind of marketer, but he like a lot of people, he knows just what he's doing. So he posts questions regularly, posts links to work for sale, and he uses the giveaway method that sends people to this page after they click. The wording is often something like I was saying, I'm celebrating my new website. I'm giving away one original painting. He gives away an original painting. He rolls it up in Canvas to a lucky winner in the next 7 days. When they click that link, this is where they go to. They go to a page that says, this is a landing page. I mean, this is a pretty ugly one, right? It looks like your contact page. Enter name and email to enter. Usually there's a little more text on here, an image of art or something. They're just putting their name in there. But the question is, where does that go to? That has to go to a list that then you know how to use.
I do want to say, if anybody has a question, feel free to jump in. It is a little difficult. Also, feel free to wait to the end, or as well to type it into the chat. When we do come to a break, I will read through the questions in the chat to make it easy for everyone, because we are a large group, and of course, it can be hard to just jump in.
But jump in if you want. Like you're saying, just jump in if you want. I have 10 more slides and this is done, and we'll talk about anything for as long as you want. But so Sean's method is post very regularly. Number one, that means like 4 or 5 times a week. Offer work for sale regularly through your website. And there has to be a way on your website or Etsy for you to buy it easily. Not just a price, inquire, and an email. I mean, easy. Create a giveaway. It's his whole thing. You generate a list of emails by offering a free print. I'm being redundant here, to one of the people that signs up. Then he announces the winner in 7 days. And then, and here's the whole method, you send everyone on that list a 25% off coupon for anything in his studio, his store, right? You can do that on Squarespace if you have a Squarespace site. If you have Etsy, it's really easy to do a coupon. This is almost the whole sales strategy if you're following it. It's just, you're creating a giveaway, you build interest, and after you build that interest, you send that new list, the winner, and also for all those people who actually wanted it and feel bad they didn't get it, they have a 25% off coupon of work in your studio. It's just a very straight methodology that will work if you do it. It really is. Ashley Longshore. Maybe you know her, 300,000 followers, 10,000 posts, 2,000 following. We know she's not doing follow for follow here. And you can see this is her kind of sort of brash humor. Art is my life. Where the fuck is my, oh, here it is. Private until Zuckerberg figures this shit out. She's kind of, that's her style. So again, to compare these guys, Sean had 600 posts, about the same, 1,049, 4,090 followers, and he's following this many. Rich had 66,000 followers and 214 followers. She has 303,000. She's made 10,000 posts. That's pretty obsessive, she's really posting away. She's pretty brilliant at this. She's selling work for all over $10,000. She built her following through Instagram, collaborated with other artists and companies, created pop-up shows. Her last one was in Chelsea at a Giant von Furstenberg's store there. So she creates shows, pop-up shows, not in any prestigious place. She announces that her painting is going to be for sale. And she kind of plays games with it. She says, okay, whoever is the first person who calls me when I post it and wants it, you'll be able to buy it. And she makes the call over the phone, makes a sale over the phone. She sends out press releases that says things like Ashley Longshore says galleries are a thing of the past, or similar, to generate interest. And she also posts kind of funny and outrageous things. This is one of her images. Here's another one. And she says at one point in 2020, and this is how long she's writing on here. It's called Happy Place. I had realized I had not physically left my house for 3.5 months. I could feel my spirit withering, my light felt dim. I exiled to the country to find myself again. I spent the summer chasing butterflies, watching bees fly slow and low because their legs were heavy with rose pollen. Every day an owl hooted at 6 p.m. and I connected with a natural rhythm I haven't felt in so long. I turned off the fucking news. I cried my eyes out, and fear and anxiety ripped through me like a bolt of lightning through a giant oak. And yet there I was, waking up every day, watching nature and the sun shining, or big gray thunder clouds unleashed.
Gesundheit.
So, here's another thing that she'd put on. Here she is walking, right, dragging her heels. My fucking mood.
Funny.
She uses Shopify. What she uses is Shopify. Shopify is a powerful platform to sell work. You see how much she's selling it for: 3,000, 5,000, 3,000. She has a place so that she can make a sale simply, like easily. You click on that, your information is likely already in there. You can pay with Apple Pay. It's just instantly the money goes to her. So, okay, again, the complete diagram as I'm wrapping this up, 2 more slides, and then you ask me whatever you want. A giveaway is where you give away one inexpensive print, including shipping, to someone in your country. You post on Facebook and Twitter if you use it, that you're celebrating your new site. You're giving away a print to one lucky winner in 7 days. You give them a link to sign up. That's your landing page where they go to, where they click on the link in your post, and on that page is a form for them to add your name to go to a mailing list, like MailerLite as a new one. That seems pretty good. Announce the winner 7 days later on social media, then send the print and ask the person to send you a picture of them with a print. Send the rest of their names. They send you an image of them holding your print. Send the rest of the names on the list an email saying the winner was announced. But since you didn't win, right, because most of the people didn't win, all of them, you're giving them a 25% off coupon. If you have Squarespace, that's easily to do in your shop on your website. Shopify can do that easily. Etsy also very easily. After all those steps are in place, you've done the giveaway. It's completed. You now have a list of people that said they want your work. That's a new mailing list. Even if it's 10 people, it doesn't matter, 5 people. That's the whole process. And initially, it's going to have some bumps and kinks. Now you send that new list a link to your page to purchase work, like Ashley's page, originals, whatever you have. You repeat that whole giveaway process, I would say 3 times a year. Send emails to your list on a monthly basis, at the least, saying this is my new work, it's for sale, something that's new, and give them a timed coupon. Last slide here. You want to hire help, right? Once you get one of these systems running, and you can't just hire help to do this for you, because you have to really understand like what you're hiring for. And maybe it's to make a landing page, to make sure that sign up goes to your list, things like that. If you want to do that, you use this method, and you could hire somebody. I use Upwork a lot. Those are people from all over the world. You could probably have this whole thing set up for $50 or less. You work with a web designer in the United States, it's probably a few $1,000s. This is actually simple to do.
What's the thing you mentioned that you work with that's like $50? What was it called again?
Upwork. Upwork is a site for freelancers all over the world. And what you do is, you post your job. I need someone to make a funnel for me. And this is a funnel, by the way. It's a type of funnel, but it's a very simple one, and it's not automated. We're not getting into that now. You could automate this, but that's a little more complex. And if you really understand what's happening here, you need a landing page. You need that to add an email to your e-marketing service. That's what you're hiring him to do. It's simple. And you need a place to buy your art. Like, set those things up. You can post on Upwork, you post your job and be as detailed as possible. You can say, I'm looking to pay $50 or whatever you want. People will start bidding on it. And they'll say, I'll do it for, 40, or I'll do it for 75. And then you'll see that they have ratings, that they've logged 400 hours. They have 4.5 stars. That's how you hire people that you trust.
I have a question. If you're I'm putting up a new site for a venue, and I want to get somebody who has really great SEO knowledge. And I'm wondering, do I have the website and then get somebody to do the SEO, or do I?
Yeah, SEO is a little odd. What do you want the SEO for? What do you want that to accomplish? Let's say the SEO worked perfectly. What would that mean?
Well, it would have a broad outreach and just have, get more attention on the web, on the line.
If you want more attention on the web, on the line, just forget the whole SEO thing. Simply run an ad on Facebook to the website of the show. And you want to spend $5 a day or whatever you would have given the SEO person, that'll also generate SEO. But, let's say the show is, I don't know,
Can't you have a website that if it's not programmed correctly? I mean, I look at what comes in on mine, it's quite a bit, but this is, I want to be more ambitious with this one. So you can have a website that's not getting a lot of action, right? I mean, so you do want those word drops, no? Aren't there?
What do you mean the word drops? What do you mean that's kind of like the idea of SEO was, and I'm not saying it's outdated, but there is a kind of sense that you can almost game it. You can have the right, meta tags in there, and people will just find the site, right?
Right.
So the problem with that is like who are these people? What you want is, let's say you want, it's a certain demographic actually that you're after. So SEO is very broad, right? How does your website become searchable or seen more? But what you actually want is you want it to be in front of people. So they notice it because they're all competing. They type in what? Gallery art? Is that the SEO that you're competing with?
Right.
You're not gonna beat Hauser and Wirth and all the others that are pouring tons of money into those kind of SEO things. What you want is to say, okay, this show is about, 4, radical women talking about new manifestos. There's an image of that. You run an ad on Facebook and you target a really specific audience, like a demographic, a sexual orientation, an age range, and people who are interested in art are a specific demographic. It's not everyone, of course. We could just like remove all the Trump supporters for one. I mean, seriously. Run an ad for that and decide what your budget is. You want to spend $5 a day for 7 days, $10 a day. That's getting ambitious. And if you want to be really smart about it, you could hire someone on Upwork to do it and run it for 3 days and see, how many likes is that ad getting? How many clicks is it getting? Because you'll know right away. And if it seems to be working, let's spend twice as much money, $10 a day or $20 a day. And you'll drive a lot of traffic.
Like I posted something yesterday, just a promo video, and it's like it has like 200 viewers, right? So, but the thing is, how do you send that into a sale? So is it good to have, is PayPal outdated?
No, PayPal's great. PayPal's great. But what do you mean into a sale? This is a show. That would drive, you could take that same video and run it as an ad for something that's called video views, which means you just want more people to view it. But if you want people to take an action with that ad and actually buy something, is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's quite different. For people to take an action from an ad, there has to be something like pretty juicy that you're offering. If you want them to click through and keep going, it has to say something like a discount for today only, or, otherwise there's no urgency. I'll get back to it. And then somehow you have to capture their email. So with shows, one other technique is you can say, sign up for free tips on how to collect art. Now you're reaching a collector, but you want their email, essentially, same method, and you want to be able to send them things because people typically aren't going to click on a product and then go and buy something, buy a piece of art right away. they're going to want to come back to it. And they'll only be able to come back to it likely if you have their email and can then send out an email the next week that's, hey, here's another piece of art that's for sale. Hey, here's another piece of art. Does that make
Brainard, why do you prefer Aweber to MailChimp?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just use Aweber. I really don't, but I use Aweber, but MailChimp is good. The reason I prefer it actually is phone support. I can call someone up and they answer the phone and talk to
That's
me.
important. Thanks.
MailChimp, as far as I know, doesn't, but there's tons of them. There's MailerLite, that's good. There's, I don't know, there's Infusionsoft. There's so many that are good. The newer ones tend to be better. They have a little more bells and whistles and are more intuitive.
I've used the MailChimp when I had my gallery. It was very good. I went to Squarespace for my website for the ATOA, and then Squarespace actually has an email part, which isn't as good as MailChimp, but I do use it, and it is quite good. And it gives me the advantage of it's, all in one house.
Yeah, I love Squarespace. Squarespace is a great site builder for artists. You're all in control. And they also have an e-commerce you can add on there so people can buy directly from your site, as easily as Shopify, which is, it's just important that the sale is so easy. It just has to be,
It's a little cumbersome to build, though. I was trying to do it over the weekend. It's a little, I guess it's a learning curve.
It is, and once you have it together, like this whole thing that I'm presenting here tonight, once you have that, it's called a funnel. This is how everything's being sold online. Everything. That's why you look at a piece of furniture and they keep telling you, you left something in the cart. You sure you don't want this? That's how everything is sold. But once you understand that those three things, the mailing list, the giveaway, you capture their email, you market to them again. Capture email, giveaway, market to them again. You're building a group of people. This is how companies launch themselves. It's simple. Yeah.
Are you okay with me ending the screen share so we can see everyone?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And the screen share.
I've got that. Let's see. There we go.
And we could talk about any topic. You want to talk about, museums, education, presenting papers at biennials. It's just, this is one topic that is, as base as it is, seems always of interest.
Does it matter if a person puts their work on more than one site? I guess you could do that, right? You just make sure you're selling it all at the same price.
Yeah, absolutely. The rule on that is you could have it on 10 sites, but it has to be the same price as it would be in a gallery. Otherwise, you're undermining the collectors in the gallery and everything. So every canvas I don't want to say everything has to be based on size, but has to be the same everywhere, including the gallery, which means, of course, you get 50% less in the gallery and 100% almost online. But yeah, as long as it's consistent, you could go everywhere.
Are there commerce sites in particular that you'd recommend, Brainard?
Well, I think Squarespace, their e-marketing that you can put on there. That means you can sell from your web page if you're into that. It's really smooth. You can make coupons. I know people that make a living off that, artists selling, beautiful drawings on there. Shopify, very powerful one. You can just build your own store. Facebook owns that, so it integrates nicely if you want to run ads to it. And then there's Etsy. Etsy is it's like that's the real turnkey one. You don't have to do anything. Just upload your stuff, put some pictures in there. That's so easy. And if you cannot think of Etsy as something that's not as sexy as artsy or something, it's fine. You'll sell work there, and they'll give you this powerful marketing engine, which is called retargeting. Retargets people.
And what about Artsy? I mean, I have worked on that through an organization. I wouldn't normally do it. I mean, because it's very expensive and it's complicated. But what about that as a sales vehicle? Have you heard of much success with that?
I don't know what's happening with Artsy. I know they've had millions poured into them, to grow that. It doesn't seem to be that easy to buy something on it. You can, but it's not as easily as, and I think it's a good site. Yeah, why not be on there? But it doesn't give you the kind of control of making a coupon or really marketing to it. They're not set up like the ones I just mentioned. They don't really compete with Shopify or even PayPal or e-commerce on Squarespace or Etsy. They don't really touch that kind of sale, and that really goes to whether you're selling work for thousands or prints for hundreds.
Thank you.
And yeah, you can also run ads. this, I don't want to get into that too much, but once you have this giveaway down, then you run an ad, you spend $50 on getting it out there. And suddenly you get more names, you know? And
I noticed a local gallery using constant contact to contact people. Is that useful in this way to collect?
absolutely. They're really all the same, right? They're all the same. Constant Contact, a Vertical Mail, Aweber, Infusionsoft, something called Drip. They're all out there. They're all the same. They get you by saying it's free up to 500 or it's free up to 1,000. I would not get too seduced by that because they all end up costing $20 pretty soon. Even if you don't get up to 500 or 1,000, they'll say, oh, you want to make a landing page? That's the pro version of $20 a month. So anyone's good. I would do it paid. Try to start off with it. You'll get more things most likely. And the newer ones tend to be better. They're a little hipper and they're easier to use. So Mailer Lite is a new one. That's good.
I want to read a question from the chat. Leah Paula asks, if I post the same image once as a still image and once as a moving image, I get 5 times the hits on the moving image. Why post images anymore as opposed to, say, just the moving image or the video?
That's a great comment, and it points to something very powerful. What people really want to see is moving images, right? So for example, when you run ads on Facebook, which you're not yet, but one of the most powerful ads is something called video views, which means you make a video, and let's say the video is a studio tour, and you don't want people to click on anything. You don't want people to like anything. Your goal with a video ad is just to have views. So, you know, the reason, I'll tell you why that is, but from Facebook's point of view, this is what they want. You're running an ad for video views. People are either interested in your video or they're not, right? They want good content that's engaging. But if you just get people to watch the video, obviously it's less commercial. So you want to make content that's got to be engaging somehow. So let's say it's a tour, whatever you do to make your image moving. Facebook will make that so cheap for you to run. It'll be something like 0.01 cents per view, that when it's done, let's say after a week and you spend $10, you'll see 1,000 views. But Facebook gives you more detail than that. It'll tell you how many of those 1,000 views did they watch to the end? How many watched 50%? How many watched 25%? And I know this is getting a little complicated, but then through Facebook, you can run an ad to only the people who have watched it 100% through. And the ad could say, show them another video, or say, you were watching this video last week. Do you want to check out my website? I hope that's not too complicated, but that's actually why video views are kind of gold.
How do you set up a video view? I mean, I'm just posting the iCloud video into my timeline, but how do you access video view?
Well, if you post that on Facebook, there's a place below it. There's a few ways where you can say boost this post. Usually you can, I don't think you can do that off personal pages anymore. You have to have an art page, but you boost that post and it'll start giving you all these options. What age group, what state? And that's kind of amazing, because if you're trying to, let's say, reach people that are only in Manhattan because you have a pop-up show that's walk by, with Facebook, you could target people within less than a mile from you. I mean, it's kind of amazing. So what you would do there, though, is you'd look through it and they'd say, what do you want? You want people to go to your website? Do you want clicks? What do you want? And you would say video views, which means I don't want any clicks.
And you said that's commercial? That has to, it can't be, you can't do that on a private account?
You can do it on a private account, but you have to run it from what they call a business page. And so the more robust version of this is, instead of hitting boost, which is kind of like the boost is sort of like a layman's way to run an ad. They try to make it easy for you, not get you overwhelmed. What you should do is go up and actually pull down the Facebook menu that says create an ad. And then they give you all of their tools, which will be, upload your video here, or do this or do that, or they give you more options, if you're not afraid of them, which
I will say I've used the Facebook boost and Facebook ads. They can be as little as $1 a day or $2 a day. They do get eyes on. The analytics that you point out that you can get through Facebook and some of these other sites, that would have cost a lot of money 10 years ago. It's literally there at a click, and it is amazing. I mean, even with YouTube, you can see how long people have seen things. Technology has made it easier. I want to point out, Gloria Sampson Knight says, Brainard, you're being so helpful. Everything you're saying is so true. Most artists are not business people, but in today's world, they have to be. You have to promote yourself, promote yourself, promote yourself in every way you can. And I think the point from this talk is there's not one golden egg here. You've got to do a multi approach on a lot of different platforms. There's no one way to get to SEO, for search engine optimization. You really have to do all these other things, and then it will come. And you have to target your specific. For Geraldine, it might be that you're in Oyster Bay and you really focus on Oyster Bay, what you're doing there, and that, sort of grows your presence there. And it, like you said,
the thing that's exciting to me about the social media is I don't want to be limited by my location at all. I mean, I want to be able to sell work in Europe, or, I kind of want to get out of the local. I know what that capacity is, so the social media to me is like, I gives me much more.
Well, there are ways to do that because Facebook will let you target international people in your ads. So it can get very specific, and you can make up ads that focus on Amsterdam, if that's where you want to go, or Paris, or different areas. So targeted marketing, but a multi-pronged approach. I'm going to scroll through and see if any other.
I just wanted to mention to Robin, who said, can I talk about, she said, talk about scammers out there asking for money. I posted a website here called howsmydealing.com. I host that, but that's all user submitted information, and it's broken down into all the scams there are. There's mail scams, there's residency scams, there's gallery scams, there's museum scams, there's book scams, there's my wife saw your beautiful piece of art scam, they're all in there, and it's all user submitted, and some of them are like notorious. You see this one in England, emerging art space, and there's just like dozens and dozens of comments about how they abuse artists, basically. So, you can look at that. My feeling is if it costs money, it's likely a scam. The Guggenheim doesn't cost money to apply to. The best residencies not only don't cost money, they have funding attached to it. I don't know if you guys use Rivet. Use Rivet. Let me see if this is it. Yeah, Rivet. Or maybe it's .es. It's a site where you can, if you're looking for shows. I think NYFA is great for opportunities, and here's rivet.es. And what's telling is in sites like that, and NYFA now too, you can search for things with funding or without funding, which should be the criteria, not like things that cost you or don't cost you. But that's what they're essentially saying, because it's rampant, kind of charging artists for something.
Good point, Brainard.
So I didn't give you my book. I want to put that in here, but I can.
So I just wanted to say to Geraldine, you have to have a fan page if you want to boost your post.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Otherwise, they don't allow you on your personal page. And I do have 2 pages also on Instagram, but
and it's really easy to do. It's really easy to make another page. So that page.
It's absolutely totally easy.
We mean on Instagram, you put the fan page?
No, I just have 2 pages on Instagram. One is a personal and one is art, but frankly, it doesn't matter so much there.
You mean on Instagram or Facebook are you talking about?
I do have 2 on Instagram, but the more important one to have 2 is Facebook, because on they call it a fan page, that I can boost my posts.
Yeah, you can use a fan page. You can also use any of their formats for a business page. They have stores you can make on there. Facebook has a variety of types of pages, business pages, and Facebook owns Instagram, so your ads will automatically or can be chosen to run on Instagram.
You can also find groups on Facebook that are selling artwork.
Right.
Brainard, let me ask you, how did you come to be an expert in this field? Were you an artist first? What did you major in college? And what was sort of your first experiences getting into this, because you're a wealth of knowledge. Other people have commented, and you do lay it out very simply. But how did you come to this? And if you're an artist or have been, share a little bit about, you know, your work.
Well, I went to SUNY Purchase. I was making prints, paintings, performances, a lot of things that were really, as you'd say now, not in the marketplace, but I also wanted to sell art. I was summering on Block Island. I was working out there, and I decided as soon as I graduated, I started sending, you know, applying for things everywhere and not getting in anywhere. So this incredibly optimistic kid was suddenly like, what? You know, I thought I was going to make a full-time living as an artist. And what I did was I decided, and this is just my personality, but I'll open my own gallery. You know, I'll just do it with my girlfriend. And we learned a little bit how to raise money, asked the local newspaper, could we send out something to, you know, try to get members, $20 a year or something. And we raised money, got a space that immediately made me realize what it looks like when artists come up to you and say things like, here's my artist, here's my art, or here's my artist statement. It was really kind of a very early awakening to how it looks from the other side. So, you know, I have a kind of entrepreneurial spirit. I wanted to have my own show there. And then what happened shortly after that is I was trying to get a review in the local newspaper. And I'd say, here, you know, we have a new gallery. Are you going to write about it? I was pretty green. They said, oh, yeah, well, we'd like you to take an ad in it, too. And I said, oh, I'm going to take an ad? Okay, I'll take an ad. And he said, no, a season's worth of ads. I said, oh, a season's worth of ads. So I take the season's worth of ads, and I said, could you write about my show? And, you know, again, well, he said, yeah, maybe. And I said, but we bought the ads. We bought a season's worth of ads. And he said, no, you bought the remaining of the season, not the full season, because part of it had already been. And I was like, dude, I was so irritated. And I basically said, you know, I'm going to start my own goddamn newspaper, which was pretty easy to do. Started a news, you know, found out how to print it, went around to people, said, you want to take an ad in this? I lived there for several years. I had shows in my own gallery. I learned about how to sell it with my wife and I. A big thing that we learned towards the end was to pre-sell it. Like you're having an opening, the day before the opening, call all the richest people that come to the opening and say, special preview tomorrow, just for you between 4 and 5. No alcohol, no party. Just come by if you want first look at this. And that would create a little frenzy. A little like group of 6 rich people would come down there, and you know, it's very sober, no alcohol, just I want this, 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 and this. And then the show opens and there's a bunch of the best work is sold, you know. So then I went to New York. Block Island was a little like too beautiful. I felt like it would be great if I was 80 and had a career in New York to be living out there. But I went to New York and was trying to get a show in New York. And same thing, like impossible. Like, what? You know, I would go to alternative spaces and say, how do you do it? Like, what's going on here? Or I'd meet a famous artist. How do you do it? You know what it's like. Oh, you know, I was just picked. I don't know how it works, you know. So, you know, I was really frustrated by that. In the same way I started the gallery, I just thought, I'm going to figure out how do people get into the Whitney biennial? Because no one's telling me other than, oh, you're not going to get in there. So don't even think about it. You know? And I wrote letters to the Whitney. I started writing letters to people. And I had a storefront in the East Village. I started asking also wealthy artists for money. You know, shockingly, Jenny Holzer sent $500. So did Christo. And you know, and that made me think like, wow, you can just reach out to people. And then I got into the Whitney and my friends were like, how did you do that? And unlike all the people I met, I said, well, it's kind of simple. I wrote a letter. This is how I did it. And then I realized that everybody has different kinds of art. So though I've kept doing all kinds of conceptual projects since then, or not conceptual only, but for the Whitney, we were giving out hugs and foot washings with my wife and giving Band-Aids for non-visible wounds. Anyway, I don't want to be too chatty. I'll just wrap it up. But essentially, that started me wanting to. I realized when people said, how did you get into the Whitney, or how did that work? I could tell them my story, but they really needed, it's different for everybody. And they need to kind of share who they are in a way that's compelling, right? So that's how I got into all of it. I mean, you can ask me anything about that, but that's sort of my trajectory as artist that was frustrated by the system and looking for a way around it, and then understanding that, you know, you can be in it, you know, actually. I mean, it was one of the most frustrating things a friend of mine said to me who had an antique shop in Soho. I was saying, God, I was so frustrated. I'm like, how do I get into the art world? And she said, well, Brainard, what they say is if you want to be on the inside, you have to be on the inside. Really pissed me off, you know, because I got it, but it's sort of like, that's the frustration. It's like, I'm on the outside. Anyway, you write letters to people, I found, to the Whitney and other people, say nice things, and it's pretty easy to get on the inside, or interview them afterwards is an even better way to meet anyone.
That's a lot of great advice. I see Mitch Pilnick, one of our board members and someone who's actually had a talk with the ATOA where Brainard was a part of. Mitch, go ahead.
Thanks, Barry. Thanks, Brainard. Great to see you. And I must say, of the panels, I've probably done about 8 or 9 panels since 2013. My first one I did, which was in Tribeca at the New York Law School, was a who's who, including Brainard, on the panel titled Artist Practices How to Market Yourself. And it was amazing, and same names, but a lot of this I know are academics that teach at schools. It's not like that. A few months ago, he had one call on curators, and it was fantastic. And of all of the professional practice, Brainard is the most, he's there, he understands the most anyone I've ever met. Brainard, I want to ask you in regards to Instagram, because I have a visual arts events page and I try to promote different artist events, things like that. One of the things that I find with Instagram that most people do not do is maximize the amount of space on a post. Just like with Twitter had 40 characters, I find the more hashtags you put in, the more exposure you get. Why do people not maximize that space?
I don't know. There's a lot of things that aren't maximized, and it's pretty easy to know. It's a great question, Mitch, and thanks for all those kind things you're saying. It's a great you know way to, the one way to maximize it is, and well, you said why don't people maximize it? I don't know. I mean, I think it's just a kind of not wanting to get involved with the medium or not, but one model for maximizing it is also for you or other artists is, you know, look at what attracts you on Instagram. What's working, because everything looks different. And I can tell you what attracts me on Instagram. You can see by the ads that are run on there that make you stop, right? And there are some that likes it, that are like a little box that turns into a pen, that turns into a puppy or something. I don't know what they are, but they're often videos, they're often animations, they're often something that's like, wow, you have to see a little bit more. That's the gold, right? What makes you tap on an Instagram picture and think more? I mean, that is a business thing that's set up for like shopping, but you could use it. It's what makes impact, you know. So I'm just saying the way to get that isn't kind of my recipe or anything. It's just what's drawing you in, you know, what's working for you. If you can interpret that, Mitch, for the events you're doing, that will get a lot of play. You could also run ads, of course, that will target people specifically for an event locally or by demographics. I hope that answers that.
Yeah, I'm not looking for exposure so much as far as just assistance, support, and help in any way. Last question I have for you in regards to hashtags. I find that and other artists may, you know, should listen up and see if there are derivatives of art consultants, like art consultant or consulting, art advisors, all derivatives, interior designers, interior decorators, all of those derivatives will go to those pages. And don't you think that from that we'll find consultants and all of that they'll be attracted to an artist's work? What do you think?
Okay, just so I have the question correct, those are consultants? That's right. I've talked to a lot of them. Are looking at Instagram. You're saying what pops, how to get in front of their eyes, what hashtags work to get in front of their eyes?
No. Do you think that artists should use derivatives of art consultants, you know, if you get in, you'll see all of the derivatives that'll come up to put hashtags in. So using derivatives are consultants, art advisors, interior designers, interior decorators. Do you think that is a good approach? As far
But
as
by
marketing?
derivatives, you mean using hashtag art advisor, hashtag art consultant kind of thing?
Right, art consultants, art consultant groups, because I've seen a lot of them, and I put in my posts, and I've seen people, you know, art consultants. Has any other artist used it? I want to know out there since we have a large group today.
Well, art consultants, in the online school that I have, right, Praxis Center, we get now we have like a curator coming every week for a round table, a little bit like this. And I've had 2 art consultants in there. And then we ask all the curators, like, how do we reach you? Where do you find artists on Instagram? Are you using hashtags? Or like, what are you doing? Like, how do we get it? And everybody has slightly different answers. But the art consultants, which was Molly Casey from 9.arts, these are good names, and like Linda Posner, she's in LA. You know, when we ask them how they're using hashtags and what they're doing, you know, they gave different answers. But one way is to just go on Instagram and they type in, they're looking for something for a corporation. So they're looking for like large scale painting, or they're looking for public sculpture. And they type in words like that. They're doing the searching. So if you had a hashtag art consultant, they're only going to find that if they typed in art consultant, and they're not. So the best hashtags are to just be descriptive of what it is that you have, whether it's something that it's representing an organization or an artist, so that when they type in, you know, miniature or public sculpture or, you know, colorful painting, you'll come up, if that answers the question.
Audience, I see Allison that was formerly of Creative Capital. It's nice to see her in the audience.
Yes, Allison, welcome here. Thank you. Yeah.
Brainard, I have one, I think, very stupid question, but I still have to ask it, because I absolutely don't understand what a hashtag is.
That's fine. That's fine to ask. That's good.
I just now looked even in the dictionary. I still can't catch it. Why do you use
I
hashtag?
remember thinking, like, what the heck is a hashtag? There was a.
No, I know how it looks, but what does it do?
It's part of how people search. So people, if you put in, if you post a painting and you put, you know, the hashtag sign and abstract art, and then another in comma, right? Hashtag. That's how you separate them, with commas. That means when people are searching for things, it'll pop up. It's one of the ways you're kind of indexing what you are.
Oh.
But what makes it confusing is when people use it in a kind of, this is what confused me initially. They said, you know, wow, you know, this is my 30th day without leaving the house, hashtag. I think I'm going to jump off a cliff, right? That hashtag, I'm going to jump off a cliff, is sort of like a little, I don't know how to say it, but it's not about searching for that. It's people are using it as a kind of part of language to make it does that seem so? Normally that confuses it a little bit, but it can be this literary device kind of, right?
Yeah.
Like having a great day, hashtag so happy to be alive, you know, but that doesn't really get you follows unless everyone starts doing hashtag I had a good day too, I had a good day too, hashtag happy to be alive. Then everyone's happy to be alive. But usually,
is it only Instagram with hashtags, or is it?
No,
yeah,
no.
Twitter,
I think I
has
see it on other things, you know, Alignable and
yeah, Pinterest, everywhere. Hashtags seem to be almost everywhere. It's how things are indexed. It's how you, instead of SEO like it used to be, it's how you're getting the work
Okay.
out there. So just experiment with it, you know, Ilsa,
Thank you.
I'm saying your name
Yeah.
right, just make it descriptive, you know,
Yeah.
comma, you know, and it could be a little bit, like you saw my friend Rich who was in there, he was photographed, but he's like Nikon D85, hashtag Amsterdam, hashtag, you know, beautiful day, hashtag. And sometimes there are these things like, you know, he's targeting tourist bureaus because they might like his work, or, you know, someone else's. Yeah. I hope that's helpful. I'm glad you asked that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay.
There is another way to use hashtags that's different. So I do drawings, paintings, ceramics, etc. When I post a ceramic, I'll do hashtag Barry Kostrinsky ceramic. And then later, if I do paintings, hashtag Barry Kostrinsky paintings. What that's good for, if I want to send somebody to see all my ceramics, I'll say, look at this hashtag. Now, if your name is John Smith, it's not going to work. But Kostrinsky is quite unique. So that's a totally different way. Nobody's searching for it, but it's a way for me to say, oh, look at all my drawings. They're under this and they're under that. There are a lot of different ways to do this. I can't emphasize enough that when Brainard went to do something and he found doors were closed, he opened them himself. I've said this to artists, if you want to do a gallery, if you want to be in a gallery, sometimes the way to do it is to form a gallery with friends. If you want to get press, sometimes the way to do it is start writing about your art, posting it in a blog, posting it on Facebook. You sort of start the dialogue out that way. And we've showed Good Naked Gallery twice now at the ATOA. Jacqueline Cedar opened the gallery in her 2-bedroom apartment. Blanca Amazuka opened the Bronx Blue Bedroom in her 2-bedroom apartment. These are galleries, they have shows, they get reviews, and of course, they're both artists themselves, but by becoming gallerists and curators, as Brainard said, they saw the other side. They all of a sudden, Linda Cunningham, an artist in the Bronx who opened up Bronx Art Space, BAS, they not only help promote other artists, but all of a sudden other gallerists look at them a little differently and they get more shows. So yes, it does take time away from you. It is a lot to run a gallery, but it's a lot different today. Everything Brainard has laid out is 20 times easier today than it was 10 years ago. Doing a website on Squarespace, I know it seems tough in the beginning. A novice can do it in an hour and a half. There's no question about it. You can refine it in 8 hours, no question about that. And updating and changing it will take time. But this is not something that costs, that you need a web designer for. That costs
spend $1,000, yeah.
$3,000 to $5,000. That was the old number, and that was the minimum number. That just doesn't apply anymore. I think the point is use the technology. Don't take no for an answer. Make your own yes. That's what Brainard has done. I mean, yes, it blows me away that you got into the Whitney Biennial. I did something similar. I walked into the Whitney. I'm like, where do I apply for the Whitney Biennial? And yes, I got laughed at in that art speak kind of way, but they didn't laugh, but they were laughing inside. But the way you find out who the curators are, you reach out to the curators. In the old days, you could call de Kooning and become his studio assistant. You could talk to Dolly when it was at the hotel on Park Avenue South. Some of the art world is very open. I've walked into Pace and I've spoken to Arnie Glimcher. You can speak. Larry is a whole nother story. Talking to Larry Gagosian, and I've done it. That's a different game because of who he is. But a lot of people, Ivan Karp in the old days, you could walk into OK Harris and have a long conversation and a cigar in the front if that's what you'd like. So some people are open. They'll give you good advice. There are a lot of people. You have to do the work. Don't assume it's not going to happen and there are closed doors, and sort of don't take no. Let's take a few more questions. I just want to reiterate, we're Artists Talk on Art. We're here every Monday. We're a 501c3. We have an interesting performance program coming. See our website, atoanyc.org for details. I do want to mention there are some board members here, Mitch Pilnick, Fran Beeler, and Geraldine Hanrahan is a board member as well. I have put Brainard's email in the chat function. Feel free to reach out to Brainard if that's okay. You get 50 calls tonight, that's fine.
Yeah.
Brainard, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
I'm on Instagram, and of course, I post my art, and I post it with the use of hashtags. You made a comment, and you said to put a comma after each hashtag. I do not do that. Is that an issue?
No, I don't think it is an issue. I think the commas create spaces, but I think you can do it with or without commas. Yeah, there's
Oh, okay, great.
there's a space and it doesn't light up the whole thing. You
Okay.
know,
I just,
hashtag immediately kind of makes that you know, kind of light up, makes it in most cases linkable. So yeah, that should be
Great.
fine too.
okay, fine. Thank you so much.
I also have a question, if I may, regarding hashtags. So let's say, for example, if you put a post that's similar and you put it on several different places, like sometimes I'll have an image or an announcement or something, and I'll put it on Facebook and I'll put it on Instagram, I'll put it on a couple of different things. If you have hashtags in it, would it make sense then that you only need hashtags on one of the posts, not on all of them? Or, you know, so if somebody were to look at that hashtag, it brings them, I guess, to your post, right? So should you have the same hashtags then on all your posts, or leave some empty, or it doesn't matter, or?
Well, I think that goes to what Barry's saying. You could do that, but I mean, like, there's different ways of doing it. I was talking about hashtags so other people could discover your work, right? So then it should be on every image.
Right,
Like
okay.
what Barry's saying is it's also a way to organize your images. If you want to put down, you know, Darrell Ann Drawing
Well,
2021.
actually, I do have that. I have Darrell Ann Saunders photography, hashtag Darrell Ann Saunders photography in every single post.
Yeah, so that's a way to that, or break it up to, you know, Darrell Ann Saunders photography, black and white. You could add one more thing to break it all down. So yeah, I think hashtags on every single one and could be used either way. The way Barry was talking about it, to organize all your work, which could be its own reason to do what you're doing.
Well, what I meant, no, I'm sorry. What I meant was whether you should have hashtags, of course, on your posts, say on IG, but I mean, I'm just saying if you post in different places, that's all I meant. It would mean that someone would come upon, if they searched by the hashtag, it means that they would, I guess, discover all three of your posts on the exact same post on three different social media places. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Then you should, right? If you're using the hashtag to search through a Google search, you mean, and you would come up with LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook.
Right, exactly. And I just didn't know if that's like weird, or if you just should like pick one and, you
I
know.
don't think that's weird. I don't know if anybody else has thoughts on that. I don't think that's weird. I think that's okay.
You want to flood the gates, right?
Yeah.
We also just, hi, Brainard, you are really helpful and always enjoy your presence, like not only in this group, but also, you know, with your emails and everything you do. I also want to say that we have to explore. That's one of the things that we explore in the studio, and I think that we have to keep exploring in all of these social media. That's my contribution, to keep exploring.
I like that. I think exploring, and I like what, you know, Barry said too, or summarizing, if you can't, you know, get in, make it yourself. There's one other thing I wanted to add to that, which is I once interviewed Ilya and Amelia Kabakov, a Russian collaborative pair. They were having a show at the Sculpture Center. They don't sell much work at all. They just go to nonprofits and they have exhibits in nonprofits. I asked them how they did it, and she said, I mean, after several questions, she was detailing a lot of it. She says, Brainard, I write, I ask nicely, I call, I ask nicely. If that doesn't work, I knock on the door. And sometimes you have to knock a number of times. She said, but I'm not afraid to break down that door if I don't hear from them. You know, that sounds a little crazy, but that's, you know, it was like endless persistence. Find a way in if you want in. Also make your own institutions, but if you want to be in, you know, find a way. Keep writing. You know?
That's the one asset we have as being slightly, you know, more experienced, because I noticed with the younger generation, they don't have that muscle. They don't have that knock on the door muscle. You know, they'll do it through social media, but they won't, you know, the kind of go for it no matter what. It's different. It's not as well, it's not as I know, they're not taking as many chances, I feel.
Well, it's also, you're talking about image, you're talking about relationships also. Yeah, knocking on the door, you're talking to people, you're building a relationship, as opposed to just sending out tons of links to your website or something.
Right.
I want to thank all the artists who have come, but first I want to thank Brainard. Brainard, that was brilliant. You gave us a real layout there, and you made it really simple. You really laid it out in bullet points, and you went over things. And I think that should be our takeaway, that there are simple steps. Don't say no to yourself that you can't do this. You can do this. You don't have to do Twitter if you choose not to do Instagram, but you got to do something, and you got to do a few of them. And don't be scared of them. You can always find help. A lot of artists are friendly and they will help you. All the artists here have friends, some who's probably good at Instagram, some who's good at Facebook, someone who uses Twitter. Use your artist friends as resources and get in the game on all the bases. It's just not one base. You want to play all the positions. They will all sort of synchronize together. Brainard, thank you so much. This was great.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me. It's my pleasure. I put my email there too. If anybody else has a question I missed, don't hesitate to write. I respond to emails.
Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you, everybody. Come again, spread the word, grow our community. So nice to see 50 plus people here today. Very nice. New faces that have come regularly. We appreciate it. ATOA-NYC.org. Everybody, thank you so much. Join us again.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good
Bye.
night, Wendy.
Bye, Barry. Thank you. Bye. Thanks, Brainard. Bye.
You're welcome.